This is VK6 Amateur Radio News with NewsWest for Sunday the 28th of August 2022, and today's the Anything Goes episode where, well, anything goes. We did invite the radioactive public to contribute, but it seems there's more radio than active going on when it comes to sharing stories. But regardless, we've got a lineup of interesting news and stories, as well as some froth and bubble to have some fun with. Enjoy.
If you're listening to the news in the morning and you're on your second cuppa thinking your day is already summed up, could it be that you've forgotten something? Today is the Northern Corridors Radio Group's Hamfest, and it's on until lunchtime at the Cyril Jackson Community Centre in Ashfield. So if you scurry off now, you might still make it. The raffle draw will be on, as will possibly last-minute ticket sales. NewsWest has a table there to tell you about Perth Tech, so drop in and say hello. If you're listening to the news on Sunday evening, you've either been to Hamfest or you've missed it. Did you win the raffle?
Hello, this is Chris VK3QB with news from CW Ops. CW Ops sponsors the CW Open contest, which is held on the first Saturday in September. CW Ops is a unique club in that it supports the full spectrum of CW activities, from beginners to experienced ops, rag chewing, contesting, DX-ing and award chasing. The CW Open contest is on the 3rd of September this year. Like most contests, the goal is to work as many CW stations worldwide as possible within each session. There are 3 separate competitions at 3 separate times. Each is called a session. Each station may be worked once per band in each session. Entry can be made to any or all of the sessions. Each session is scored separately. Entry into multiple sessions will be added together for a combined score. For details of the session times and scoring regime, visit cwops.org and follow the links. And good luck in the contest. It's another opportunity to dust off your 2x1 contest call sign. 7-3 from Chris, VK3QB.
We told you last week that registrations for Perth Tech have opened, and already people have begun registering. So get yours done nice and early too. Early is good, because it gives us an idea of how we're going. At this venue, we can cater for a larger crowd than previously, so we're confident that everyone registering can attend. There's a registration page in the Perth Tech section of our website, vk6.net. Registration is simple, and payment is by credit card or debit card using a secure payment portal. We don't have facilities to receive cash payments. If you can't or won't do card payments online, please find someone who will do it for you and give them enough cash to repay them. Prior registration is required to attend Perth Tech, so we won't accept late registrations at the door. Registrations close on 18th of October, and if you can't make up your mind by then, please don't make it our problem. You won't get better offer than Perth Tech, so make up your mind now. We're still open to offers to conduct workshops on the Sunday. These are simple demonstrations, preferably involving the participants learning by doing. Contact us by email to perthtech@vk6.net. if you'd like to conduct a workshop. These can take place in a park or your club rooms, wherever. If there's any cost to cover, contact us and let's talk about it. Perth Tech is something for you to look forward to. The presentations will be top-notch. The catering will be fabulous and the social aspect rewarding. Did we tell you that the catering would be great? We've engaged a local catering company, so the food will be several notches above the pizza and wraps of yesteryear. No more waiting on the pizza deliveries. And it's a bargain. Champagne event at a beer price. What could be better? The cost of staging the Perth Tech is heavily subsidised by the proceeds of last year's raffle. Speaking of raffles, we'll be running a day raffle, so bring $10 or better or more for your chances to win from a selection of prizes. We're thinking of selling tickets in bundles of 5 for $10. You'd need a number of tickets because we have lots of prizes to choose from. The original plan was for the day raffle to break even at best, and because some generous donations, we can put more prizes in the pool. Would you like to donate a prize or some cash towards the prize pool? Give us a nod by email to perthtech@vk6.net. All donations will be acknowledged. You can register now at our website vk6.net. And lastly, soon we will be calling for people to help at Perth Tech, selling raffle tickets, setting up, packing away, odd jobs, etc. So please keep an ear out for the call and do your bit to make things tick along nicely. Check out the vk6.net website often. It's updated regularly.
Covering Western Australia and beyond, this is NewsWest, brought to you by WA Amateur Radio News, on air, online and on demand. This is VK6 ARN, and I'm Mark, VK4 MHQ.
The G-Bung Radio Club, with rather insincere apologies to AB Banjo Patterson. It was somewhere up the country in a land of rock and scrub that they formed an institution called the G-Bung Radio Club. They had long and wiry antennas up the rugged mountainside, and the radio was never built that the G-Bungs couldn't abide. But their style of keying Morse was irregular and rash. They had mighty little science, but a mighty lot of dash. And their members were mountain cronies that were muscular and strong, though their fists was quite unpolished, and their pro-signs and Q-codes wrong. And they used to practice keying, wheeling cattle in the scrub. They were demons, were the members of the G-Bung Radio Club. It was somewhere down the country, in the city, smoke and steam, that a radio club existed called the Cuff and Collar Team. As a social institution, 'twas a marvellous success, for the members were distinguished by exclusiveness and dress. They had the latest black box radios that were nice and smooth and sleek, for the cultivated owners barely used them once a week. So they started up the country in pursuit of sport and fame, for they meant to show the G-Bungs how to play the contests game, and they took their valets with them just to give their rigs a rub ere they started operations on the G-Bung Radio Club. Now my readers can imagine how the contest ebbed and flowed when the G-Bung boys got going. It was time to clear the road, and the game was so terrific that ere half the time was gone, a spectator's leg was broken just from merely looking on. For they waddied one another till the plain was strewn with dead, while the score was kept so even that they neither got ahead. And the Cuff and Collar captain, when he tumbled off to die, was the last surviving player, so the contest was called a tie. Then the captain of the G-Bungs raised him slowly from the ground, though his wounds were mostly mortal, yet he fiercely gazed around. There was no one to oppose him, all the rest were in a trance, so he scrambled for his mic, for his last expiring chance, for he meant to make an effort to get victory to his side, so he called CQ, and lost it. Then he tumbled off and died. By the old Campaspe River, where the breezes shake the grass, there's a row of little gravestones that the amateurs never pass, for they bear a crude inscription saying, "Stranger, drop a tear, for the Cuff and Collar players and the G-Bung boys lie here." And on misty moonlit evenings, while the dingoes howl around, you can see their shadows flitting down that phantom contest ground. You can hear them calling CQ as the flying players meet, and the crackle of the radios and the effort to compete, till the terrified spectator rides like blazes to the pub. He's been haunted by the spectres of the G-Bung Radio Club.
Amateur radio clubs play an important role in maintaining and growing the hobby. It's in clubs that newcomers learn how to kickstart their hobby, where amateurs get together to share information, build stuff, participate in activities, and have some fun. People outside of clubs, especially newcomers to the hobby, are looking for ways to meet other amateurs and to learn things. So now's a good time for your club to strut its stuff. The NewsWest cycle of weekly themes includes a club focus episode, where the program is handed over to the clubs to promote, brag, educate, and include the amateur community. There's a couple of reasons for this. Your club benefits from promoting its existence and what it does. Other clubs and individuals benefit from hearing about your activities and your sharing of what's been going on. Newcomers to the hobby learn about your club and what's attractive to them. The team here at NewsWest will hand over 100% of the program time, that's the full 30 minutes or 9 yards in the olden days, to clubs in the Club Focus edition. All you, the clubs, need to do is feed NewsWest with audio recordings or text, and we'll glue it all together. You give us 30 minutes worth, and that's what goes to air. You give us 5 minutes worth, and we'll fill it up with something else. So, it's over to you. For Club Focus next weekend, please get your audio to us by noon Friday or earlier if you're sending text for us to record. Send it as an email attachments to newswest@vk6.net.
We were all taught standard phonetics when we studied for our first amateur radio licence, these being the NATO set of phonetics, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, etc. These are meant to be universally adopted by most amateurs around the world. The phonetics are intended to be used to accurately send information, especially when conditions are noisy. More often than I'd like to, I hear people complaining that other amateurs are not using the standard phonetics, and apparently, according to the complainants, it's quite naughty to deviate from the standard phonetics. I agree, however. I agree to a point because although it's very desirable for those transmitting to use standard phonetics, we rely on the receiving station to understand those phonetics. There are some of the standard phonetics that many people simply don't get, but I don't know why. When I dabble in contests, I have the devil's own job with my own call sign VK6 Popper, Oscar Popper, because apparently Oscar sounds like Alpha. I don't know how. I often have to resort to alternative phonetics such as Pacific, Ocean, Pacific, or Poor Old Pensioner. When we finally get the call sign right, the hapless person at the other end asks me my name. Bob, I respond. Bravo, Oscar, Bravo. Was that Bravo, Alpha, Bravo? No, so we do the Pacific Ocean poor old pensioner thing again. Then they notice that my name is B-O-B and the call sign is P-O-P. Ah! They think, which one did I get wrong? Is his name Pop and the call sign Bob? Or vice versa? So we go through that lot again. The other phonetic that fails miserably is Sierra. When I used to use the Scout call signs, I made the mistake of doing a contest using the call sign VK6 SCS, that was VK6 Sierra Charlie Sierra. Again, we'd go round the mulberry bush because Sierra does not compute with some people. We end up saying Sugar Charlie Sugar, or Santiago Charlie Santiago, or Santiago Chile Santiago. Anything but Sierra. The bottom line is that if for any reason the standard phonetics aren't working, you do what you need to do to complete the QSO. Surely there are greater sins in amateur radio than resorting to alternative phonetics. After all, and this raises its head too frequently in amateur radio, the NATO phonetics are recommended, not enforced. You might even be able to say that it's a convention, but when you get down to it, it's not a law, nor is it something about which we should fret about. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Back in April, we told you about the ICOM's SHF project. And at that time, ICOM was saying that this radio is destined for the 2.4 GHz and the 5.6 GHz bands. And we all thought that was amazing. Over a few days last weekend, ICOM Japan has been releasing previews of the results of the SHF project, the ICOM IC905. This radio is in 2 modules. The base unit resembles the IC705. However, the resemblance is cosmetic, and a closer examination is mind-blowing. You've heard the expression shack in a box, but this is more than a shack. For a start, this rig doesn't just do 2 bands as reported in April, it works on an impressive 5 bands, these being 144 MHz, 430 MHz, 1.2 GHz, 2.4 GHz, 5.6 GHz, with an option to go to 10 GHz, that's 3 centimeters, with the optional CX-10G transverter unit. The IC905 is an all-mode transceiver which comes in two parts, the base unit which lives in your shack and the RF unit which lives up your mast close to the antenna. Joining the two together is a network cable. The RF unit is powered via PoE, Power over Ethernet, and comes equipped with a 20-meter network cable. A surprise feature of this unit is its apparent ability to transmit analog TV with AV in and out ports on the base unit, and the video is visible on the radio screen. The base unit also has ports for an SD card, LAN ports, and a USB Type-C port. The on-screen menus and other functions are expected to be in the style of the 705, 7300, etc. radios, so it'll have a similar feel. There's lots more to be revealed about this radio, which is groundbreaking in terms of being an off-the-shelf unit capable of super high gigahertz frequencies. It'll certainly be a groundbreaker, and I wonder if perhaps there may be more surprises in store before this radio hits the shop shelves. And when it does, it won't stay on the shelf for long. Many amateurs are salivating over this beauty. The staff of WA Amateur Radio News have no conflict of interest or any relationship with ICOM, and this information is not advertising, is just provided for information for listeners.
Now here's an item of interest, and thanks Will for providing it to us. Nigel VK6 CPU reports that the 23cm digital distance record for his contact with Steve VK3ZAZ near Hamilton, Western Victoria was approved yesterday and is up on the WIA website. So 2 new Australian distance records have been approved. One is for 1296 megahertz, which is 23 centimetres, which is a national digital record. That was VK3 Zulu Alpha Zulu to VK6 Charlie Popper Uniform, who was portable, and that contact was on the 18th of February 2022, and the distance was 2,168.7 kilometres. It's pretty good. And this is a bit of an oddball record. The single sideband CW distance record on 23 centimetres for VK6 is still VK6WG to VK3ZBJ on the 18th of the 3rd, 1988. So that's the previous holder of VK6WG and not his son. The prior digital record on 1.2 gigs was VK2DVZ to ZL1TPH on the 29th of January 2014. This is all made possible by the remote radio setup that's in Albany. Congratulations, Nigel, on that record, and thank you very much, Will VK6UU, for forwarding the news to us. Always appreciated.
In Western Australia and beyond, NewsWest is available on air, online and on demand. Visit our website vk6.net to find out how. This is VK6 Amateur Radio News.
Now for a further update on PerthTech. It's not enough that PerthTech offers you a list of technical presentations that'll knock your socks off. We've gone further to also make it the social occasion of the year, with first-class catering and a huge day raffle. Yes, the day raffle is huge. The prize pool has passed the $1,500 mark and is rising. Being a day raffle, we may only sell tickets on the day to those present. You work that one out. Tickets will be sold in bundles of 5 for $10. One ticket simply won't do because there are lots of prizes in the pool. The top 2 prizes are worth $500 or more each. Our plan is that we won't make a profit on the raffle. It's there purely to add another dimension to your PerthTech experience. We've been receiving generous donations from individuals and local companies who can see the value that an event like PerthTech gives our amateur radio community. You can support PerthTech by donation and by attendance. If you're in a position to donate a prize or something else towards PerthTech, please contact us by email to perthtech@vk6.net. The most valuable contribution that you can make, however, is your attendance. If you'd like to attend but something prevents you, for example lack of transport, we suggest you let us know and we'll see what can be arranged. There's no public transport available at the venue, so carpooling is a possible solution. Registration is at our website vk6.net, and the point of contact for PerthTech is emails perthtech@vk6.net.
This one's a replay of the announcement for the Mayan Up Radio weekend. It's only a couple of weeks to go, so if you're interested, get in touch with Darren and set yourself up for it. It sounds like it's going to be a good weekend. I'll be there. Not that I'll be there. We'll make it a fantastic weekend, but I'll be there to try and be part of the good weekend. You know what I mean. Anyway, here's Darren.
The main up chapter of the Southern Electronics Group would like to invite hams and their wives, husbands, partners, significant others, or even interested friends to attend our inaugural field event on the 10th and 11th of September. Main Up Ham Camption is an informal campout and radio getaway weekend where we can use and discuss practical projects for your radio and antenna in an open area with plenty of tall trees and great facilities. Food and beverages are all BYO, but if there is enough interest, we can bring orders of takeaway from town on the Saturday night. The grounds are large with plenty of space for your caravan, tent or swag, with some indoor shed room in case it gets a bit wet. If you choose to visit but would prefer a more civilised motel or bed and breakfast, there are many available from 10 to 30 minutes from May and up. There is limited power available on the grounds, so self-contained power is preferred. There are toilets and showers, and camping will be $10 per person per night. The event is focused on the weekend, but campers are welcome to arrive on the Friday afternoon or evening, but if you are planning to do this, please let me know beforehand. The Main Up Sports Ground is located 15 kilometres south of Boyup Brook on the Boyup Brook-Cranbrook Road next to the Main Up Hall. As this is the first time we've run this event, please be patient and feel free to suggest changes or additions. We would like to see it succeed and grow for next year. For further details and to register your interest, please contact me at Victor Kilo Sierra India X-Ray Echo Kilo, that's VK6EK, at gmail.com. This is Darren, VK6EK, for the Southern Electronics Group.
An elderly amateur radio driver of this parish was going down Tonkin Highway when suddenly his 2-metre rig crackled into life. With his call answering, he heard a fellow ham's urgent warning, "Hey Jim, I just heard on the news that there's a car going down Tonkin Highway in the wrong lane. Please be careful." Jim replied, "Well, it's not just one car, there's hundreds of them." Now here's a story entitled, "Whose Job Is It Anyway?" This is a story about 4 people named everybody, somebody, anybody and nobody. There was an important job to be done and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realised that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have. Well, if you can get your head around that, you'll know what we're talking about, and it's a perennial problem with a lot of organisations, not just amateur radio. Now, the team this week is Roy, VK6XV, who will soon be celebrating another anniversary of Helpline, Andrew, VK6AS, Mike, VK6KMS, Chris, VK3QB, and I'm Bob, VK6PIP, the NewsWest producer. And we're in real need of news team members, especially as Andrew will be soon out of action for a while, which takes Mike out of the picture because Mike does his recording stuff with Andrew. I'm seriously looking for some volunteers to record stuff, and in the longer term, someone to write stuff as well. I write most of the content for NewsWest, and if I were to drop dead from this blasted man flu that I've been suffering lately, NewsWest simply wouldn't happen until someone noticed the smell. I'd prefer that help arrived to revive the corpse than posthumously. Can you write one item a week, a fortnight? Give me a shout. newswest@vk6.net is our email address. I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of the personality-based politics that happens around the place. It's not only amateur radio, but here we talk about amateur radio. I often hear things like, "I'd support such and such a club, but Fred What's-His-Name was a member there when Adam wore short pants, and I didn't like what he said at a meeting." Of course, that's an exaggerated, fictitious example, but the reality is that those silly games are played all the time, and they are played all the way to the top, to the ACMA, who seem inclined to listen to the splutterings of idiots where it suits some agendas. This hobby, especially the small bunch of us here in Australia, must overcome those barriers to being a strong, cohesive group. I know that 100% harmony is a pipe dream. However, that small percentage of people are doing a lot of damage. When you see or hear it, call it out.
On HF, VHF and UHF via the VK6 linked repeater network, and online, this is NewsWest from VK6 ARN.
Good morning, fellow amateurs and shortwave listeners. This is Roy VK6 X-Ray Victor with this week's helpline. Needing help myself this morning, nothing to report. Everyone must be saving up for the Hamfest today at Ashfield. And the Northern Corridor Radio Group Hamfest is on today, so if you'd like to get along there, and they might pick up a bargain from there, or maybe able to dispatch your hard-earned gear to someone else. And in the meantime, if you have any items left over for next week, the address VK6X-Ray Victor at bigpond.com. Victor Kilo 6 X-Ray Victor at bigpond.com. And have a good day today. Catch you later, 7-3 from Roy VK6XV.
So, club secretaries, remember next week's NewsWest is the Club Focus edition, and it's your open mic day. Make use of it. After all, if you won't promote your club, why would you expect anyone else to do it? I hope everyone does well at Hamfest today. Thanks to the NewsWest team and to the broadcasters for transmitting the news programs. We've had a bit of fun today. Now it's time to join in the callbacks. Then keep that radio humming and see who's on air making a noise. You could be in for a treat, because anything goes.